Molina Show, lunchtime, thanks to Rudy's Barbecue, home. Moist brisket, ribs, green chili stew, the pork loin, the turkey, barbecue chicken, and more. The Louis Molina Show, presented by CC Electric. It is time. Hang out with Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman. It is, a Thursday thing, lunchtime. Cedric, how's your universe, brother?
Man, things are great. What's up, Lou?
Not much, kind of, okay, 3 games left, push to March, Bucky ball. Aggie baseball, perfect 8-0. 13 Aggies down at the NFL Scouting Combine. There's just a whole lot of maroon and white going on right now.
Man, don't you just love the spring? We get a little bit of everything. Weather is holding up for us, and so much to talk about, and including a big one coming up Saturday night at Reed Arena.
Okay, so Longhorns make their way. We're talking hoops here for those that are like, wait, what? Longhorns make their way to Reed Arena, and I think for Texas basketball, it's a lot simpler. They've got a pretty tough finish stretch. They're losers of 2 straight, 8-7. Is it must win at this point with Arkansas following, if we're talking about Texas basketball in the NCAA tournament?
I don't think so. I think they finished up with Oklahoma at the house, and I think as long as they win one of these next 3 games, I think it makes it a lot easier for the selection committee to put them in at 9-9. That's kind of the sweet spot for them right now. I don't really think that it's going to be a huge deal if they go 1-2 down the stretch, because I think their resume is fine, and 9-9 should get them in, as opposed to last year when they still got in at 6-12.
Well, okay. Do you know their net just off the top of your head?
Yeah, they're 31 in Ken Palm.
They're safely
pretty
in.
well.
Yeah, 31 safe in.
Yeah, right now they're a number 10 seed, and they would face Villanova in the first round of the South Regional in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, 31 is safe. Like sub 41, sub 42 is that safe? You don't even got to think about it kind of marker. A&M won't ding them. Arkansas won't ding them. OU would ding them to an extent, but wouldn't drop them 10 spots.
No, that won't kill them, but it definitely wouldn't help. You don't want to give the selection committee any ammo.
Well, you said win one more OU. We kind of covered OU. You can't lose to OU to do what you said.
Exactly. And, Lou, they played pretty well last night against the defending national champions. They really did. For about 32 minutes, they gave Florida all it could handle, up 64-61, and then, boom, Florida realized it was Florida and ran off 23 points over the next 7 minutes, outscored Texas 23-3. The Horns went 0 for 7 from the field and turned it over 5 times. Just a really embarrassing finish to that game after such a promising start.
As the Longhorns have started losing games, my mind flashed back to our conversation, and I asked you the winning streak that they were on. Was it a product of them or product of schedule? And you said schedule to a degree. And they've just played Georgia. They just played Florida, the schedule. Georgia was on the road, the schedule. And this Longhorn team, effectively, they just are who they are. And 9-9 is maybe not the worst reflection of their record.
Yeah, and you know what? They're pretty good. They're very good offensively, Lou. And this is an offensive era that we live in. And so don't be surprised they get into the tournament and win a game, maybe even 2, because the team that beats Texas is going to have to score a ton of points. And Texas is 6th in offensive efficiency in America, but they're 123rd in defense. So it's going to be a shootout. They're instant offense on both ends. And Sean Miller, who came up as a defensive coach, is really exasperated. He said it's probably the worst defensive team he's ever coached, but that doesn't mean that they can't make some noise in March, because they know how to score the ball, and they have 3 or 4 guys that can light it up at any given moment.
Okay, a quick observation with no statistical data to back it up. It just feels like that's a common theme in the SEC for hoops. Everybody's trying to hit 100.
That's absolutely true, and I think the league is still good.
Yeah,
but the league is not the juggernaut that it was last year, Lou, when the 13 teams got in. It's not that league this year. Florida is an odds-on favorite. Don't let that number 7 ranking fool you. Florida If guards show up, Florida is going to win a national championship because that's the best front line in the country. 6'10", 6'11", and 6'10" is big time, and they have a myriad of options in the paint, and that's all they did last night was take it to the rack, and Texas had no answers. But I think the Horns are going to get in. I think they can win a game or two in the tournament, depending on the matchup. They just got to get stops, and that's something that just really hasn't happened for them this year.
What can the Aggies expect Saturday? Have you had a chance to kind of go through the matchup in your head?
Yeah. The Aggies. I can expect the Aggies to pound it in. To Rashawn Agee. Texas had no answers for him in the first matchup in Austin. The Aggies are going to shoot a lot of threes. The Horns are going to shoot some threes. The problem with Texas is, will their main line, not Dalen Swain, their best player, he's going to show up no matter where they play. But the Tremont Marks, the George Popes, the Modest Boca Tituses, those three guys, they've got to show up for Texas to have a chance to knock off the Aggies. I think the Aggies, haven't played that great lately. They're 5-5 in their last 10 games. Arkansas ran them out of the gym last night, and nothing would do them better than to put Texas, the pressure on Texas to finish strong by whooping them in Reed Arena.
And for Texas, get a little revenge, set themselves up to finish with 10, not 9 wins, a winning record in SEC play, win 2 of your last 3, get a little mo heading to the postseason, get a road victory, right?
Yeah, absolutely, Lou. And I looked at before last night. Joe Lenardi had A&M as one of the last 4 in, which I thought was kind of surprising since the Aggies are 9-6, as opposed to Texas being 8-7. So it might be just quality of schedule. I don't know. I'd have to look at more of those metrics, but I didn't think the Aggies were that close to the bubble. Maybe it's the fact that they've kind of stumbled here down the stretch with a 500 record, but they beat Texas on Saturday. We can dispense with the bubble talk. The Aggies are in.
Yeah, well, okay. The one thing, and a lot of people feel that, they got to beat LSU. They can't take a quad 4, quad 3 loss. Beat Texas, beat LSU. They can't take that loss to almost last place LSU. Just like Texas can't lose to Oklahoma, I don't think A&M can lose to LSU at the end of the year.
You never want to give the selection committee a reason to exclude you. And after last year, with all those SEC teams getting in, you kind of wonder if they want to pull back a little bit this season, since the league, while it's still a beehive, isn't as dominant as it was. So I think Florida might be at number 7, might be the highest ranked SEC team in the country, whereas last year at this time you had 3 or 4 SEC teams in the top 10. So, you're right about the Aggies. They need to take care of business against the Tigers. The Tigers played pretty well here against Texas. They've got the Australian kid, Matt McKinnon, can really light them up, and he lit Texas up for 32. So as he goes, so goes the Value Bengals. So if the Aggies can keep him on a leash, I think they'll be okay.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know. The A&M defense, it's been the key to some of their biggest wins, and man, you look at some of their losses and going, man, if they could have just stopped anybody. The buckyball defense at times been fantastic. At other times, it's just non-existent. Hey, buckyball's fun, man. There's times where you just put your head down. There's other times you're cheering. And hey, what do you expect in year one, right?
Yeah. You got to get your concepts and your philosophies in place in year one, and then you build around it. Hopefully, with adding pieces to the portal, they're a fun watch, Lou. They're a fun watch, but just like Texas, sometimes they can give up these points in bunches, and you look up and they've on the downside of 99-84. So I think this will be a competitive game. I think it will be an offensive game. I think both teams score in the 80s. That's the kind of game I like to watch. Man,
and A&M played Bama 197 every day of the week. I sign on the dotted line for that type of game. Question for you. So you're year one with Sean Miller, right? And buckyball's year one. I know, and I don't know of a single Aggie that would say, I don't want another year of this. Like, no, this isn't what I want. Sean Miller ball. I don't know if it has a name there down in Austin. Have you seen enough to go, we want more of this? This is the way, this is the path?
Oh yes, sir, I do, Lou. I mean, they are fun. They are up tempo. They're looking to push the pace, something that wasn't the case last year. They were one of the slowest teams in college basketball. They want to push the pace. They want to shoot early in the shot clock, and they want to lean on you offensively. Now the problem is they're not very good on defense. So what that does is that makes for some interesting things that happen. Like a couple of times last night, they made a shot and Florida was beating them back down court after a made basket, and yeah, Miller was going nuts on the sideline. So if they ever figure out how to get better defensively, and then to get some more long bodies like Florida has, Miller wants big guys who can run. Lou, I was in the tunnel and Florida ran by me. That's the biggest college basketball team I've seen in years. And they've got a 7'9" guy on the bench. He didn't play, but he's 7'9", so that made it look even scarier. But when you got 3, 6, 10 guys on the front line, and then your smallest guys, your point guard, Xavier Lee, who's 6'4", and everybody can get down the court, that is scary. That's an NBA-type team.
Okay, I just wondered, different strokes, different tastes, and of course I don't watch the Longhorns every game, right? So just kind of checking on that one. So, okay. And again, with Buckyball, like I said, everybody, and I mean everybody, even through the losses this year, you're picked 13th, and you're going to finish anywhere from 5 to 8, somewhere in there. And the style and Bucky himself, I'm just telling you, everybody here, give me more, give me more. So, trying to finish it strong and all that. So down in Austin, people love Sean Miller ball, Miller time, anything, any catch, any T-shirts to be made?
Not yet, but we'll see. They got to get in the tournament and make sure that they're on the right path before we can start coming up with catchy nicknames or phrases. So Buckyball just rolls off the tongue. Miller time's been used. We're old, Lou. We're old. You know where that comes from. But yeah, we'll see. We will see what they do if they get into the postseason, and then we'll work on some catchphrases.
All right, we can go for that. Moving on, going over to the Longhorn baseball universe. They're still perfect on the season. They had Michigan State over the weekend, and the pitching continues to impress.
That's the biggest difference right now between this year and last year in Lou. And I know it's early. It's very early. But they've got 4 or 5 guys that they can throw out there to start. And, the late, great Augie Garrido always told me, said you got to have 5 starting pitchers if you want to make noise in the postseason. You can't just have 3. You can't have a Friday, Saturday, Sunday guy. You got to have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, and then tournament. And so right now they've got a myriad of options at the start and at the when it comes to the rubber. And for me, I think that bodes well. I think they have a lot of good hitting on this team, but it's the pitching that's got me excited about what they could do because they've got a lot of good arms. Last year at this time, they had 3 good starters, but they lost Jared Spencer, who was their Friday night guy, to shoulder surgery. And Lou, he was off to a 4-1 start with an ERA in the 2s. Then he was lost for the season, and they never recovered from that. So this year, they've got 4 or 5 guys. They got Luke Harrison, Ruger Riojas, Dylan Volantis. He's their Sunday starter. He's a sophomore who was the SEC closer of the year last year. But they're starting him on Sunday, and I predict that he'll be their Friday guy by the time the SEC play gets here. So I'm very optimistic about what they have because of the pitching. And in the SEC, if you don't have pitching, you're going to get lit up. And so far, so good. Even though they haven't really played a great schedule yet, it'll be interesting to see what happens in Houston. Coastal Carolina is their first opponent, and that's the national runner-up. So that'll be an early test for the Horns.
Yeah, down in Houston in the College Classic over the weekend. Houston on Friday, Baylor on a Saturday, and then wrap it all up with Ohio State on a Sunday.
Yeah, that's a nice little acid test to get started. A little early in the season. If they come out of that 3-0, then you got something. But that's a nice little slate. No love lost between Texas and Baylor. We know that. I know in 2005 when I was the beat writer, Lou, Baylor beat Texas four times in the regular season. And then Texas goes on to knock Baylor out of the College World Series and win a championship. So, yeah, the old school guys remember that rivalry. So I know that the people that are traveling down from Waco will be excited to see if the Baylor Bears can strike a blow for the Big 12.
Plant that Big 12 flag in the ground. Hey, I need to take a timeout, but before I do, Cedric, a correction. Something I have been saying incorrectly. I have someone who's a personal corrector for the show. They listen, they text me as we go along. LSU is not quad 3 or 4. They're 65, which is awful. But when you go on the road, that is not quad 3 or 4, even though it's a 65 net. So A&M going to LSU is not as tragic as I'm making it sound. Again, 65 road is not quad 3 or 4.
Got it, but a loss would still be very tragic. I don't care. I don't care what their quad is. You don't want to lose to LSU.
No, that's a fact. But again, it's still not 3 or 4, which I'd been saying incorrectly. Everybody should have their own personal corrector. It helps make the day go a whole lot easier. Cedric, a timeout, come back. I want to talk NFL with you, brother.
Yes, sir.
All right. Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman. It's a Thursday thing. He hangs out with me on the D4 Land Services hotline. If you ever need forestry, mulching, pond construction, metal buildings, visit d4landservices.com. d4landservices.com.
Your home for Texas A&M football is Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone. The Zone.
The Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric, built on faith, family, and community. That is CC Electric. We're joined again, D4 Land Services Hotline. Most guests of the Louis Bellina Show. Join me on the D4 Land Services Hotline by Cedric Golden, Austin American-Statesman. Not just any Cedric Golden. He is the Cedric Golden.
He is an artist whose canvas is the printed page. A legendary wordsmith and scribe. The English language bows down to his powers. He is the Texas Sports Writer of the Year. From the Austin American-Statesman, Cedric Golden.
Again, we don't mess around on the Louis Bellina Show. Cedric, the NFL Combine, the on-field workouts begin today. Longhorns, is it 7? Have 7 players at the Combine this year, which is like the third most in the country?
Yeah, they've got 7 there, and Sarkisian. We talked to him on Monday, and he was like, "Man, I think we should have had more." I'm like, "Man, take the 7 and be happy with that." But I guess he was striving for more. But they got 7, and they got some guys that can really make some noise on the next level if things hit right for them.
So who are like the highlights of the 7? Is there a first round, or is it going to be a heavy second round class? Who are going to be the Longhorns to watch?
I don't know that they have a first round guy. Anthony Hill, their talented linebacker, has a chance. Right now, he's projected anywhere from late first to early second. I saw one where he was 36th overall. If he works out well, and I think he will, I think he can move up to the first round. He's a high character guy. He just has a knack for being around the ball. Very athletic, long arms. He'll run well, and so I think that he could end up being their first round pick.
So in general, he's saying more. Is it just a coach, always lobbying and just to stoke the fuel and flames of the rivalry? Is it because the Aggies had 13, with Sark just sending a message out there? I mean, do you think, what was he coding there?
No, I just think he believes in his players. I don't think it has anything to do with what the Aggies are doing. They beat the Aggies twice, so I don't think he cares about that. But I do believe that he wants to promote his program. And the more guys you get in the Combine, Lou, it's easier to recruit guys to come play for you, guys to come out of the portal. And that's what it's about. And, sadly, in our era, it was all about, can we get these high school kids to come play for us. But nowadays with this big money and this portal, it's more about what juniors or incoming seniors can we get to be difference makers while we try to make it to that magical 12-team playoff and make some noise in the postseason. The dynamic has changed, Lou, and I know the combine is kind of important, but when you see coaches like Sarkisian or Dabo Swinney saying that they need more of their players should have been invited, that's kind of a double-edged deal. They are promoting their program, but they're also trying to let recruits know that, hey, we haven't fallen off, because Texas had 13 guys in last year.
Cedric, I wanted to talk a little NFL with you, some of the things I've seen. Has there ever been a kicker worth $10 million? Because the Cowboys kicker standoff, where the current highest paid kicker is Butker over with the Kansas City Chiefs at 6.4. They could not, the franchise tag is gone, but they could place a 1-year tender, which would pay him $8 million. But his agent doesn't want $8 million. They're asking for $10 million. And you look at a team like the Cowboys that need so much. Can you afford a $10 million kicker?
Man, I don't think so. And Brandon Aubrey is great. Look, he's great. But $10 million for Brandon Aubrey, even though he's probably the biggest weapon on the Cowboys, you just franchise tag George Pickens. That's big money that you're paying to who could be your number 2 receiver if the kid from Oklahoma gets his head on right. So, yeah, CeeDee Lamb had a bad year, but you're paying George Pickens huge money. You've got to take care. You're paying Dak Prescott top 5 salary to give a kicker $10 million. I mean, I'm sorry, he's a part-time player, albeit a really good one. But not to come across too disrespectfully, Lou, he's a kicker, dude.
Are you going Peyton Manning? Are you about to call him an idiot kicker next? I mean, where are we going with this?
He didn't get liquored up and start saying stupid stuff, but he's a kicker. And so I know the market is the market, and I know if I'm an NFL owner, the last thing I want is for someone giving a kicker $10 million, and then all of a sudden I got to try to explain to my kicker why he's only making 5 or 6. So if I disagree with a lot of what Jerry Jones has to say, and Steven, but for a guy to give him a $10 million to a kicker, I'd be like, no, we can't do that.
How about that $8 million if they tender? I was thinking about that because that seems like the most likely outcome in this contract dispute is they tender him at $8 million. Is he worth $8 million for a kicker to tender him?
Man, that's still a lot. $8 million is still a lot. I would say, he's still Brandon Aubrey. He's still the best at his position. So I would say, okay, maybe tender him at $8 million. But that is still an inordinate amount of greenbacks to give a guy that just kicks. I mean, he just kicks, and so I would say do what you have to do. But it would pain me in my gut to give a kicker that much money.
$8 million is a lot. And again, okay, if you're a team and the kicker's what's standing between you and the Super Bowl, that's the last part of the puzzle. At that point, it wouldn't matter what position they're at. You overpay if it's the last part. But the Cowboys need so much that's a luxury.
You didn't pay Michael Parsons, and now you're going to give your kicker $10 million. Yeah. So you know what? In my world, that would be the most Cowboy thing ever, Lou. Yeah, go ahead and let Michael Parsons bail to Green Bay, but let's give Brandon Aubrey $10 million. That makes sense.
Have you been paying any attention at all between the Kyler Murray story, where like the Cardinals GM said, we've been talking. Kyler's agent said, we haven't talked to him since the season ended. The amended statement is, well, we've been talking about him daily. So these signals, man, they're so done with him, and it's just weird to see it be so public.
It's ugly, and I think they want to get rid of him. I mean, by sitting him at the end of the year to avoid paying him all that money if he got hurt, they needed to keep him healthy so they could cut him. They're going to get rid of Kyler Murray, man. Then I think they're moving on from Kyler Murray. I really do, and he's been everything to that organization, but it's a horribly run organization. I think it's one of the worst run, and I think it's still the Bidwill that own it. It's an old school family ownership. But I think they're going to move on from him, and they're going to continue to be bad. And so I don't know a lot of free agents that are flocking to Arizona because I just don't like the way they treat their players.
Yeah, I don't have every detail I and T dotted in this, but the way it's being portrayed, it comes off awful. Just the way the GM is coming off. And again, I'm not living it. I'm not there daily. So this is the outsider's perception. Comes off so awful. Now, let me ask you, you're a fan of the Pittsburgh Steelers, right?
Oh, yeah. We grew up watching the Steelers. Yeah, big time.
They're one of the top first two names that came out was Jets and Steelers for Kyler Murray. Would you take him as the Steelers quarterback?
If Aaron Rodgers doesn't come back, absolutely, I would. Because they need athleticism at that position, and that offensive line broke down the stretch, and Aaron Rodgers doesn't run like he used to run, and he was kind of a sitting duck back there. So if you can get a 27-year-old Kyler Murray, even though he's undersized, and the Steelers have never had a little quarterback like that, but that would open up some things, especially if Mike McCarthy, opens it up and makes it more of a spread offense, which isn't really the Steeler way, but the old way hasn't been working of late. They haven't won a playoff game in like 7 or 8 years. So we'll see. I'm not a huge fan of little quarterbacks, giving them big money because little quarterbacks get hurt more often than big quarterbacks. And so, but if Rodgers doesn't come back, and from what I'm hearing, he's leaning towards coming back because he won a Super Bowl with McCarthy. I don't think Tyler's looking to sit for a year, and they're not going to pay him big money to sit. So if you're asking me if he's going to be a Steeler next year, I would say no.
Yeah, you're reading the tea leaves and going, sure, you'd take him, but looks like the Pittsburgh job might be taken.
Yeah, I think Rodgers. I mean, what does Aaron Rodgers have to do besides be an a-hole? On the McAfee show. I would think that he's going to come back, and people are going to be happy to pull against him. But you know what? I think that locker room loves Aaron Rodgers, and you saw how those guys were crying at the end of that game because they lost, because they love Aaron Rodgers so much. So I think he's finally found a place where people have accepted him, because that wasn't the case with the Jets, or where was he last year? The Jets, or wherever he was. But yeah, that wasn't the case. But I think he's found a home in Pittsburgh. So I think he's got one more year, and then he's going to hang him up.
Cedric, before I let you roll, prediction Saturday, Longhorns at A&M, hoops time at Reed Arena. Who you got in the game?
I always go with the home team in a pick 'em. I'm taking the Aggies to win in a close game. I think it's going to be fun. Are you going to be there, Lou?
I'm trying to figure out my schedule Saturday. I either will be in Houston or I could be at Reed Arena. It's one of the three. And I only said two things, so it's a pretty crazy day.
Well, if you're in Reed, look me up.
Of course, man.
Yeah, buy me a hot dog.
So you're going to be here in town?
Of course. Where else am I going to be?
You could be at the Combine. You could be at a big fight. You could be, in Poland. I don't know. You live that life, man. No one knows what Cedric's doing. Cedric's always up to something.
I'm not going to Poland this weekend, Lou. Okay. I'm not going to Poland.
I'm ruling that out.
I'll see you in the 979. You got plenty of time to cover baseball. Come to the basketball game. It'll be more fun.
Brother, be awesome, man. It is always a pleasure to visit with you and just hang out and gain the knowledge, brother. Be good.
You too. Talk to you later.
Cedric Golden of the Austin American-Statesman on the D4 Land Services hotline. Get your land fixed up. Get your land cleared. Get your land excavated. Get yourself to d4landservices.com. Check it all out at d4landservices.com. When we return, I'm not really sure. We'll figure it out together. It's the Louis Bellina Show on The Zone on Thursday. All true on The Zone.
Visit the Pond Center at zone1150.com and find every hour of every day of your favorite shows. Download or subscribe.
The Louis Bellina Show, Thursday. Halftime, sounds fair, 12:37. We're hanging out till 2 o'clock. Still to come, Rusty Burson, Aggie historian and author. That'll be 1 o'clock straight up. 1 o'clock straight up. Tell you what I want to do. I'm going to have a little bit of fun. If you were with us at the end of our first hour, I mentioned the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees, and there's more, but I, Louis Bellina, did not define as rock and roll nominees than what I would define as rock and roll nominees. And if here in this lunch hour, I played Joy Division, that was In Excess, who are nominees. And it's a fun experiment, been using YouTube to play Joy Division, In Excess. And when I Googled both bands, they said rock band. Even though I almost would say like In Excess was pop, Joy Division was almost new wave to me. That's my definition. But Rock and Roll Hall of Fame said they're rock. YouTube put them both as rock band. That's exactly what it said. Under their description was rock band. And maybe my definition is too narrow. Maybe it's a loop problem, not the Hall of Fame problem. But then I see like Billy Idol's not even in yet. So I'm going to use this question to register our next person to win a pair of tickets to see rock band Creed at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. We were doing one person per day every day this week, and we're going to do it again next week. Just to give you a heads up, once we're done with the registration, I'll draw one lucky name. Bam! You get a pair of tickets to see Creed at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. And that is thanks to Grachalski Sausage Company. 2 locations, South Main, Bremont, South Main in Calvert. 2 locations for Grachalski Sausage Company. And you have 20 minutes. You text me. I'll blind draw someone at 1 o'clock. So you have 20 minutes. Text me a rock band. What's your definition? If you had to pick one band, that's rock. Because again, ever since the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominees in this list, Mariah Carey and Pink and Sade and Luther Vandross and In Excess and Joy Division and Billy Idol and Jeff Buckley and others. You text me if you'd like to register. I'll blind draw at 1 o'clock. One band or artist. This is rock. 979-693-1150. One. Just one artist or band, but this is rock. 979-693-1150. Today's also Johnny Cash's birthday, February 26, 1932. He's considered by some one of the great rock and rollers of all time, too, even though he's identified by many with country. Johnny transcended. But 979-693-1150. Text, participate, survey question. 20 minutes left. Get yourself registered and win a pair of tickets to Creed at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, thanks to Grachalski Sausage Company. I want to go to the college football notebook. There's just a couple of things that caught my attention. I don't know where you sit or where you stand on the Army-Navy game. I think it's magical. I think it's incredible. I think it is everything it's chalked up to be. This week has been fascinating. On Monday, head coach Army Jeff Monken suggested moving the game to Thanksgiving weekend, which then would put it in with the rest of the games. I believe if that were to happen, this game would disappear. Part of the magic of Army-Navy is it's after everything. It's a solo game on a day, all by itself, existing in the universe, and it gets all-day coverage because there's nothing else. And since the college football season is still real, people, and again, you get a full day of Army-Navy. I think that's part of the magic of it. He's willing to move it because we need to start the college football playoff way earlier so that we're not having national championship games. And the next two are like January 25th and January 24th, even later than this year. So in order to do this, we need to start not as late. So an Army-Navy game being the week after the college football, championship weekend makes the college football playoff have to start even later. So if they were to move Army-Navy to Thanksgiving weekend, we could maybe start the college football playoff the week after championship Saturday. Understand how this all works. So Monken said he'd be open to Thanksgiving weekend in order to help the CFP. That was Monday. The Navy athletic director on Wednesday kept it simple and said, no, Tuesday, one day later, wasting no time. My bad. No. He doesn't support the idea. I'm kind of with him. Yes, it would be good for the CFP. It would destroy the Army-Navy game. It would absolutely destroy the Army-Navy game. There is something about it with the all day, only thing of the day, and it gets coverage from everyone, treated as it is. Because it doesn't have the value. It doesn't have national or even regional impact. It's just America's game. I love that kind of title it has now, too. If it goes to Thanksgiving weekend, it is gone. So I thought it was interesting. Army coach, yeah, we'll do it for the good of the CFP. And the Navy AD the next day, nope, not happening. 979-693-1150. Again, you have 17 minutes left to get yourself registered to win a pair of tickets to go see Creed at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo. How? Text me one band, one artist. I'll blind draw at 2 o'clock. That's rock. Because again, the very fascinating nominees for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. If you want to get registered, go for it. Other things I've seen, College Football Notebook. PFF did a list of wide receivers that transferred that went stock up for the NFL draft and stock down. There was one name that you'll recognize on the stock down, Noah Thomas. Georgia transferred for A&M, stock down. Stock down, didn't really work out. And I mean, I wasn't rooting against him. I just pointed out and went, damn, that was stock down. PFF did a 3-round mock draft before the combine started, and they love Cassius Howell. They have him higher than almost anyone else. They have him at 15 to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Cassius Howell. KC Concepcion, 27, San Francisco 49ers. They have Chase Basantes going in the 2nd round, and that is to the New Orleans Saints. And that's it. 3-round. Want to help you there. 3-round mock draft PFF, and it's 3 Aggies in total. Howell, KC, 1st round, Basanta, 2nd round. Anything is possible, but I again, to me, going through my head, I expect if we're doing a 3-round Lou Bellina projection, and they have 3, I kind of feel like 5 is the minimum. Even if these Aggies slide, I'm using that as a relative term, right? Even if they slide, there'd be 5, not 3. Yeah, I think there'd be 5. We'll see. 3. Okay, I would go at that as the min. Absolute bare min. Absolute bare min. And with the combine, next week, once all this data is processed and scouts speak out and info is leaked, we're going to have so much of a better feel and vibe. We'll have a better combine. Then Pro Day will be the last thing left in the offseason for the draft. One last college football notebook, and this has already been done, so I don't want to overdo it, but I think it was ESPN who, the key game, most important game, each SEC team's schedule, blah, blah, blah. And A&M, they still said Texas. We talked about that not long ago. I don't want to go over it, but it was interesting. Something that caught my attention from Missouri, and they did for every P4. I think the last one was for every top 25 team. They have A&M for Missouri. Talk about circling a game, huh? They do have A&M for Missouri. And that fascinated me. And I know the why. Missouri is coming up short of getting over the hump. A&M is Missouri's hump. They're not at the tier yet where they're trying to beat Alabama and Georgia. And Elko and the Aggies have utterly dismantled Missouri. A&M keeps coming up at a point in Missouri's schedule where Missouri's off to a great start, excellent start, highest point in the polls. And usually A&M starts or is the second game in their death march stretch of their schedule. And A&M, relatively speaking, even though A&M went on to 11-1, so you didn't know it at the time, is the easiest, quote unquote, in their death march. So A&M is, I don't know, the white whale or whatever for Missouri football, and they can't beat them. A&M, Missouri can't beat the Aggies, and it starts their spiral. destroys their confidence, proves them as a fraud. So yeah, I kind of went, yeah, I get that one. For Missouri, A&M's their most key game. Ooh, A&M circled by the Tigers. And they put Texas for it. And we talked about that concept. I don't know if it was a month ago, but already. And we will. Let that can hold for the summer where, yeah, I get it. I get all of Texas. Now, looking at A&M's schedule, I think there's one a month. LSU end of the first month, Alabama end of the first month. And could it possibly be OU before Texas? Because if you go down to Norman and lose that road game, and OU's defense probably still going to be elite again, kind of diffuses some of the value of the Texas game. A&M's got key games per month, I think. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back. I will venture into the Texas Mobile One Lube Express inbox. Texas Mobile One Lube Express, owned by Gabriel Garcia. I'll be right back. It's the Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric on The Zone.
Blending Southern culture with college football.
You guys are awesome.
Music, sport commentary, and more. It's Marty and McGee.
Marty and McGee.
Saturday mornings from 6 to 9 on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
The Louis Bellina Show, presented by CC Electric. Residential, commercial, and industrial services. It's what they do. It's who they are. At CC Electric, I said I want to hit up some of the text messages. Our survey question was simple. One band, one artist that, for you, defines rock and roll. This is in relation to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame nominee list. So one band, artist that defines rock and roll at 1 o'clock, shutting off registration, because your text is giving you a chance. I'm going to blind draw one person. Bam! Going to pull your name from the Texas Mobile One Lube Express inbox, and one band, one artist. And here's a sampling of today on the Louis Bellina Show. Rob Meyer, thank you for celebrating Johnny Cash. Yep. Today's his birthday, February 26th, 1932? Mike from Deer Park, Texas A&M Foundation +3. Thank you for sharing that. We got the Eagles. Clay said Metallica is rock. Hard to argue with that. I saw them about 3 times, actually. Saw them on that Faith No More Guns N' Roses tour. That was an epic rock event. Tony said the Dead Kennedys. Did not expect to see their name today. We got ZZ Top. Seen them a handful of times. Got to meet them in person with Ken Caminiti standing in front of me in line. Reno in Pettibone, the Black Crows. They're on tour this summer, coming to Houston, the Woodlands in August. Really, 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 really want to see them. Foo Fighters, no arguments from me. Joe said Metallica and Megadeth are rock bands. It kills me that some actual rockers aren't in. He's talking about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We're talking about putting pop musicians in. Cletus in College Station, Kiss, fair. Dustin said AC/DC. I don't think there's any doubt that they're one of the definitions of rock and roll, without a doubt, would be AC/DC. We got Patrick in Bryan, Bad Company. Seen them 3 times. Once they were an opener, twice. Ted Nugent opened for Bad Company down in the Woodlands. Cardinal John listed 6. Okay. Jimmy in the Woodlands, Cheap Trick. Oh, good Lord. I've seen Cheap Trick open like 6 to 10 times, because like they open for everybody. And I mean that as a compliment. Love Cheap Trick. Absolute. They've never disappointed. If you ever see one of those Cheap Trick Joan Jett with those, not twin bills, but the 3 Rock classic kind of, Cheap Trick's always on it. And they're phenomenal. Love Cheap Trick. Peruna in College Station, Bob Dylan. Saw him at the old Austin City Limit Music Hall. And it was one of his, like he's had 5, 6 comebacks now. One of my favorite concerts of all time. It was a comeback tour. He came back, I'd say angry, plugged in, destroyed the universe, was amazing. And Tony fighting crime. Lou, come on, man. Pearl Jam. Yes. I think that's without a doubt. Yes. I think they're one of the definitive, and they're another one. I don't want to get too carried away, but like 4, I've seen them. and never anything less than amazing and powerful. And yeah, I'm pro Pearl Jam too. 979-693-1150. You have 3 minutes, 10 seconds left. One band, one artist that defines rock, and I'll blind draw register someone to win those tickets to see Creed at the Houston Rodeo, thanks to Grohalski Sausage.
This is Daryl from Columbus, previously from the Paul Feinbaum Show.
How many times have you attended a game in South Bend?
What does that matter, Paul?
I just need an answer, because I can answer the question myself, and it's quite a few. I'm asking you, is it 0? Is it 1? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it a dozen? Is it 100? I think the answer is 0. You would agree with me on that, wouldn't you?
The Paul Feinbaum Show, powered by Polaris Fun Center, 2 to 4 weekdays on The Zone.